Okay, good evening, Vietnam. How you doing tonight? Live from LZ Bunker. This is Veterans Live Show. I'm your host, Ronnie Embers. I served with the 101st Airborne Division in Vietnam from December 67 to December 68. Tonight's guest is Sergeant Joe Ewert from South Florida. Joe served in Vietnam in 1969 with the 11th Infantry, the Americal Division. Now he's working with the Honor Flight Program. Unbelievable. Which flies veterans to D.C. each year for a free weekend vacation to visit sites and memorials, amongst other things. We're going to discuss the Honor Flight as well as you could apply to go and all that good stuff, even to help. We will speak to Sergeant Joe Ewert in a few moments. But first, I'd like to let you know that the program is brought to you by the Fallen Never Forgotten book, a tribute to the veterans in Vietnam who never made it home. Go to the fallenneverforgotten.com page for more information or to purchase your copy. Now we're going to go to the headlines of the time. Okay, headlines. Vietnam veteran headlines for the week of March 10th, 2021. The Wall That Heals will open its season in New Bern, North Carolina on April 8th to April 11th. Don't forget that. This is like a 80% replica of the Vietnam Wall. So if you're in the New Bern area, you may want to stop by. Go to vvmf.org for more information. That's vvmf.org for more information. For those who don't know, the Wall That Heals is a 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in D.C. Now we're going to go to the timeline segment. Okay, this date in the Vietnam War, March 10th, 1968. The Battle of Lima Site 85, concluding the 11th after the 10th of March, with the largest single ground combat loss of the United States Air Force members, 12 during the Vietnam War. Also called the Battle of Phu Phi Thi, which was fought as part of a military campaign waged during the Vietnam and Laotian Civil War by the NBA. The number one song on March 10th, 1968 was Sitting on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. This date in the Vietnam War, March 10th, 1970, the U.S. Army accuses Captain Ernest Medina and 4 other soldiers of committing crimes at the My Lai massacre in Sang Mai village in March of 1968. The number one song on March 10th of 1970 was Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. And how appropriate was that song? Let's go to the photo segment. Okay, first photo. Oh, that's my guys. That's us. That's my squad leader, Sergeant Philip Kreck from Utah. We're boarding the C-130s in Benoit after we were stationed in Cu Chi for a while, for about a month, heading up to Phu Bai to get up by Quang Tri in Quang Tri province just before Tet. They knew it was happening. They knew it. Okay, next picture. From Luis Galenos, Rock Valley, Republic of Korea soldiers, where the Korean Army was based. Originally known as Camp Thunderbolt in 1965, it was taken over by the Korean Tiger Division. The Koreans trained in Taekwondo, and they came to our unit. That's a serious situation there. These guys were true crazy soldiers. Next picture. Okay, David Uzak, thank you for sending this in. Green Beret Captain Richard Flaherty stood 4'9" tall and 97 pounds. He didn't meet the military size and requirements and needed a congressional waiver just to join the Army. But God bless that guy, man. He had the heart and the soul to join and serve his country. Next question. Next picture. Paul Erickson. When you are hungry, you will eat almost anything. Mountain Yard boys cooking a small rat over some sea rations. Wow, that's from Paul Erickson. That's crazy. I see that frag on your chest there, Paul. Interesting picture there. Okay, next picture. Jim Ross. I did a lot of thinking in Vietnam behind my 50 caliber, but here, all I was thinking was ambush. It wasn't exactly cruising the strip on Saturday night. If you get a chance, ask us why you thought it might have been an ambush. I think those two APCs in front of you might have been a little close together, but tell me why. Did you have ambushes happening before that or whatever? Okay, next picture. This photo is one of my first in Vietnam in a Caribou en route from Saigon to my duty station with the 13th Aviation Delta Battalion in Canton. This was early 65 in the early days. The Caribou was a plane, and that's the back of the plane had a drop-down door, and that's, Matt, can you put that picture back up? See, that was like a tailgate that dropped down, and that's why they're sitting in there like they are, and the bright light is there. Okay, next picture. Oh, there you go. We're going to bring our guy, Ho Chi Minh Trail. Going to bring Joe in pretty soon. There you go. Ho Chi Minh Trail the North Vietnamese relied heavily on the Ho Chi Minh Trail for transport their troops and supplies into South Vietnam. The trail of tangled, camouflaged footpaths, dirt roads, and river crossings covered a 6,000-mile network reaching 300 miles southward through Cambodia into South Vietnam. Okay, so I guess we're going to bring Joe Ewert in. How you doing from South Florida?
Good evening. I'm fine, Ron. Thanks for having me.
Welcome aboard, my man.
Thank you.
You have quite an interesting story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background in the military?
Okay, well, I was drafted into the Army after being out of college for about 7 or 8 months, and I went to Fort Dix for basic training, Fort Dix, New Jersey. Enjoyed spending time in those beautiful 1940-ish vintage barracks. And I finished basic training in Fort Dix. And of course, we all got our assignments where everybody was going, and it was a very anxious time. And I was assigned advanced infantry training, which didn't make me very happy at the moment. But I went through advanced infantry training at Fort Dix, graduated with honors, I guess. And I ended up taking my leave prior to being deployed. I got my orders for Vietnam. I ended up with a MOS of 11C, which is a mortarman. 11B, as most of your viewers know, were infantry leg units. Mortarmen, we basically accompanied the rifle platoons as the addition to the company complement. I took my leave and I partied a little bit, and I was not honestly looking forward to going to Vietnam, but it was my duty and I went. And I boarded a lovely Flying Tiger DC-8 at McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey. And I think it feels like we flew forever. And ended up arriving in Saigon at Tan Son Nhut Air Force Base and processed in. And I thought to myself, well, this is pretty nice. It's very modern. We have like air conditioning and things like that. And then they said, well, no, just relax because it's going to change a little bit. So I then flew to the Americal Division base camp in July. July was on the beach. It was a beautiful beach. They had a USO club again, nice barracks, flushing toilets, and all that great stuff. I'm thinking, well, this isn't bad. Well, you're only going to be here a few days. And then they sent me down to the 11th Infantry Brigade base camp headquarters, which was LZ Bronco. And again, it was getting a little more rustic, but still not bad. And I spent a few days there, and they were outfitting me with my equipment, which seemed to me to weigh about 1,000 pounds by the time I put it all on. And I ended up, they sent me out to Hill 411. Now, that was getting very rustic, but nothing compared to where I ended up next. After a few days there, I joined my company out in the middle of nowhere in the jungles in the highlands down there. And I always remember that when the chopper landed, I thought, how nice. Everybody is waving at me, doing this. They're waving at me, welcoming me. No, they were telling me to get down because they were shooting at the helicopter. And I said, okay, so now the fun is over and the vacation.
You got the picture. Yeah, you got the picture, bro. There you go.
So I spent about 9 months in the bush. and we basically just were combat assaulting all hither and yon, trying to find the enemy. Our company had a reasonable amount of contact, but we didn't have some of the real major battles that others had. So I feel lucky in that aspect. Had a great bunch of guys, and we took care of each other. It was an interesting time because most of the guys in the platoon and the entire company were draftees. And draftees, as you may or may not know, probably don't react to the orders and the commands as well as people that are career officers and enlisted men. So there was a lot of questioning of why things were happening and being done in certain ways. And this drove the lifers crazy because they weren't used to people asking why. So it was an interesting time. The war was winding down at that point. You couldn't tell by the people that were shooting at us, but supposedly the war was winding down in the late 69 and early 70. But we continued there, and I spent 9 months, and I finally politicked my way back to be company clerk for the last 3 months in country, which was a lot cushier than my 9 months carrying all this equipment around.
Yeah, it's an interesting point about the attitude and how being in an airborne outfit, we were a little more gung-ho. We wanted to go. We were all volunteers, and we had guys who were dropping ammo on the trail, like mortar rounds, and didn't like that. You know, it came to be like payback sooner or later. Some of the VC or NVA would pick that stuff up, and the next day or two, we'd be walking across those 81 millimeters and not having a good time with it. So I understand where attitude and how would you say, not only getting short, but not wanting to be there and stuff like that, which complicated matters in the emotional sense. And we had to like dig in their back pockets for a little more.
I think it did, but I think that it's also interesting how the draftees stepped up to the challenge when it was time. You would think.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not.
You know, people
I paint with a small brush. I paint with a small brush, very small brush.
No, and I do agree. It was a unique time towards the end of the conflict that people were changing their attitude about the prosecution of the war and things like that. But we did what we had to do. Everybody did their job, and you know, we appreciate those that didn't make it home and sort of honor everybody, all the veterans that have given so much. It's hard to put into words what this country owes them.
Great point about that word honor, because now you're involved with the Honor Flight program. So please tell us a little bit about that. I'm quite sure our audience knows somewhat about it, but tell us more about it.
I will be happy to. I am involved with the South Florida chapter or hub of Honor Flight. So I think it would be appropriate to give a little background on how Honor Flight came to be. It's a very interesting organization. I've been involved for about 2 years now, and with the South Florida hub, which is one of the bigger hubs in the country. But Honor Flight, the network itself, was formed in 2005 by a gentleman named Earl Morse. And Earl was a retired Air Force captain, a physician's assistant, and also a private pilot. And he was involved in putting together the first group of World War II veterans to try to take them to Washington to see the new World War II memorial, which had just opened in 2004. And their first honor flight was actually 5 or 6 private planes that flew to Washington with these guys. And it was such an exciting event, and people were so happy to get that experience that this more metamorphosis into an entire organization. And pretty soon there were hubs all over the country flying veterans to Washington. It was amazing. The first flight, they took 12 veterans, and in 2019, we took 23,000 plus veterans to Washington.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. These numbers are pretty impressive.
Wow.
what's going on right now, as you can see by the numbers on the screen, is that the number of Vietnam veterans is increasing, obviously, because sadly we're losing World War II and Korean veterans each day as we age. So the organization is continuing. We fly our veterans absolutely free. I think that's very important. People realize that there's no out-of-pocket costs. Now, depending on where you're located, which hub and where you're flying from, you can either do a one-day trip, which we do from South Florida. In South Florida, we charter an entire Airbus plane from Fort Lauderdale, and we take the entire plane, and it's a 15-hour day. It's a crazy, wild day. And from other places that are farther away, they actually come into Washington and spend 1 or 2 nights. So each hub in the Honor Flight organization operates independently from the other hub. We all share the same basic philosophy and the same program, but we tweak it a little bit for the locations and how we do that. So there's no charge to the veteran. Every veteran is accompanied by a guardian. It can be a family member or a friend, or if they don't have a guardian to go with them, we send one. We'll find a guardian. The guardians actually pay a fee in most cases to accompany the veteran.
Sure.
And they're there for their assistance and care. And our veterans, we had a 100-year-old female Marine on our last flight that we did in 2019. So it's incredible. These guys and gals just spend the entire day immersed in the recognition of their service, and it's fantastic.
Let me ask you a question. I've been down there for the last 30 years or so, except this last time, either both Veterans and Memorial Day or one or the other. And the buses that line up, they come and they normally park by the, must be some coordinating going on here, because you guys got the planes, you got the buses, and then you got to get the guys to the memorials. The Memorial, the World War II Memorial, the Vietnam Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial. It's like amazing how.
One of the things, and we were talking a little bit before the show, one of the things that when I first got involved, I went to the first volunteer meeting. We have about 100 volunteers in the South Florida hub. And so I went to the first volunteer meeting, and I wanted to do something and join, and they made me chairman of the fundraising committee, and that's fine. I get involved a lot with the fundraising events when we used to be able to do them. But one thing that was astonishing to me was the number of moving parts that were involved in this seemingly just one-day trip to Washington. Right. And I can't imagine how much more involved it would be when they're overnighting for a couple of days. But we basically have 30 people involved in the planning of a single day event. We do about 4 flights a year, 4 to 5. We charter a plane each time. We basically do spring and fall because of weather issues. But there are issues like we carry a doctor on board. One of our board members is retired from the VA, a Dr. Phil Greenberg. He accompanies every flight. We carry 2 paramedics. We carry what we call honor chairs, which are wheelchairs on the plane for each veteran can use one if they need to. But we have them available. Just the coordination of the buses. And then that's just for one flight. Our group, sometimes on a given Saturday, there will be 4 or 5 other honor flight groups in town. We call that a super Saturday. It's very challenging and making sure everybody gets back on the right bus. But we carry 50, 60 veterans, 50 or 60 guardians, and the rest staff people. We have bus captains, we have coordinators, plus we have huge numbers of people just processing them at the airport. Fort Lauderdale Airport has been very supportive of us. We also get the U.S. Forest Service police give us escorts to the buses, because I'm sure you have been to Washington a lot. The traffic is awful, even on a Saturday. So we get police escorts. And all this requires intense coordination. So yeah, it's amazing, and not a penny. There's not a paid staff member anywhere in any other volunteer hubs.
Right.
Not a single paid.
One thing I noticed was that I've seen these guys come off the buses, because like where Thunder Rally is, where we set up our bookshop and our tent and whatever to sell our books and our flags, is quite away from the rest, the concession stands and the toilets. So to go way over there, that's where the buses unload on the other side of the Lincoln Memorial. These guys get off the bus, and it's like their first Christmas or something. You know, they're like Google-eyed. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
it's like, what's going on here? You got to like.
It's watching kids on Christmas Day open presents. You're absolutely correct.
It's amazing.
I think that no matter how many times our attendees, the guys and the gals that fly with us as veterans, no matter how many times they look at the videos and read the information, they're still stunned by the magnitude and the experience.
Exactly.
And then when we get there, we sort of branch off. We do the World War II, the Korea, and the Vietnam Wall. So we do all the monuments. We go to we have a private area at the changing of the guard ceremony, which is quite dramatic. And then we do some touring of Arlington. So it's just an amazing day. And you're right, to see the expression on these folks' faces, they don't expect it to be as dramatic. And I know a lot of your viewers probably have been to Washington, been to the monuments, perhaps been to the wall multiple times. But I would tell you, and I have done that also, it's a completely different day because you're in the camaraderie of 60, 70 brothers and sisters in arms.
And most of them are older. The World War II guys are like in their 90s. The Korean guys are in their 80s. The Vietnam guys we're in our 60s and 70s. It's like
we are experiencing, unfortunately, we're losing a lot of the World War II veterans. Every day we lose more. And it is just a matter of the circle of life, I guess, to put a spin on it. But we're seeing more and more Vietnam guys and gals coming now, which is great. And then someday in the next so many years, we'll end up with guys from Iraq and Iran and the various conflicts. So this is an ongoing thing, and we'll be doing this forever.
Okay, Joe, we're going to run a video now, 5-minute video about the whole program here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Matt.
The memorial's breathtaking. In my mind, the memorial represents freedom for the world. To this day, all of the Pacific is free, all of Europe is free, and thank God America is free.
Honor Flight provides, at no cost to the veteran, the opportunity to see the memorial that the American people have built on our National Mall. And I think that there's probably no better organization out there today that can provide something to somebody for nothing.
If anyone wants to see the importance of Honor Flight, look into the veterans' eyes and how they tear up when they are brought here.
You guys ready to go?
Yeah, ready to go.
We'd like to thank each and every one of you. It's truly a privilege to serve you today.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
When they walk into that memorial and they see that their friends will never be forgotten, that the sacrifice that they paid will always be cherished, always revered, always honored by this nation. they're taken back by that. For the World War II veterans, this is their last hurrah. They don't have reunions anymore. Most of their comrades in arms have all passed away. Quite often, they are the sole survivors of that tank crew or that ship or that air crew. Bringing them into their memorial, they come there representing all of their friends.
Just have to remember where so many comrades are laying out there yet. And just one of these things, you know, before I die, I wanted to see it. Now I go home, and if I croak, so what? I did it.
I'm just sorry my wife couldn't be here. She died about 6 months ago.
It's the best program I've ever been associated with. You know, we're all in the same fraternity. If it hadn't been for these guys, I don't know where we'd be today or what language we'd speak.
I say about the terrorists, Al-Qaeda, if it weren't for these guys, we wouldn't have to worry about terrorists today. We'd already be occupied. We'd already be a different country. So we owe them a lot.
There are families that we will call up and say,
Okay. I gotta tell you what, man. I gotta get myself a tissue. That's crazy. I've been
We go through a lot of boxes. We go through a lot of boxes of Kleenex on those days.
Yeah, I could imagine. That's nuts.
Everyone.
So
Yes.
what's the plans now, though, for the future?
Well,
So,
it's very important. Yeah, obviously with COVID, the national network has mandated that we cease all flights until further notice. We're kind of on a month-by-month assessment. We will not probably fly in 2021 at all. It's unlikely, although things could change rapidly, and we have all of our people in the South Florida hub on the list that were due to fly in 2020. We will then put them on the flights. They get priority to go in 2021. And of course, if we don't fly in 2021, we'll move over to 2022. So at the moment, none of the hubs are flying, and that's probably the right decision. Again, that's subject to change. So we do try to keep in contact with the guys and the gals that were due to fly with us, so that they don't get the feeling that we've forgotten them. So we do a lot of things locally. I'm not sure what the other hubs do, but I know some of them do what we do, which is to recognize them in these parades that we do.
Oh, local parades, like in these, like town.
Yes, what we do is that we have a pretty good database of those who are on the list to fly with us, where they live.
Yeah, right.
And so what we do is we'll put together a parade in, let's say, Fort Lauderdale for all of our veterans who are in Fort Lauderdale who could not fly with us, who are on the list. We actually will go drive by their house. It's all social distancing. We decorate our cars. We'll meet up at a central place. We often have the local police, fire department, escorts. We have the junior ROTC that goes with us. It's quite an event. We'll have 20, 30, 40 cars. We play havoc with the traffic all over town when we do it. But, you know, people are happy and they're honking their horns.
Yeah.
It's a very good way to keep contact with these important men and women who were just waiting now to go on their flight. And we know that it's an aging group, so we hope we can get going as soon as possible. And then as soon as we're able, we're starting to fly again.
There you go. That's great. You know, you got to be a veteran to appreciate a veteran more than anybody else for some reason. And it's got to be down in here, up here, and wherever else it is, everything you do. When you see the flag, when you see a veteran drive by, you see a a bumper sticker, you see a decal on a window, you know the guy served, and something, you know, it just moves you a little bit. But these guys, especially World War II guys and the Korean guys, and now the Vietnam guys are all over 70 just about now. It's their turn to move on. So what can we do? Because how do you become part of a member of the honor flight situation?
Well, as I said, Ronnie, it's a strictly a volunteer organization. There's many ways you can get involved. Obviously, if you are a veteran and you served in the military, including the Coast Guard, during any of the conflict periods, you don't necessarily have to have been in country. You didn't have to be in Europe or Japan or Korea or Vietnam.
Right.
If you served during those periods of time and you're honorably discharged, you're eligible for a free honor flight. So if you wish,
I don't mean that. I mean to help with the honor flight.
Okay. Well, I was going to say I want to make sure though that people that are watching know where to go to how to find the same opportunity to sign up, and then I'll talk a little bit about other things they can do. But the most important thing to remember is to go to the honorflight.org website because that has a listing of all the hubs. So if you want to fly or volunteer or get involved at all, you need to do it at the local level. So the easiest thing to do is go to the national network on the website and then look up the hubs, which are chapters, but they call them hubs. And they have a map of the country, and you can just highlight the map and it'll show you where your hubs are located, and they're all over the country. So
honorflight.org.
Honorflight.org. That's the national network website. And then as far as volunteer opportunities, each hub is 100% volunteer operated. So there's opportunities to assist with the workings, the planning, the meetings, the fundraising, the airport check-ins. You can go on the flights. You can become a guardian. You have to pay to be a guardian, but you can become a guardian. And you don't have to have a relative that's going on the flight. You can volunteer to be an ad hoc guardian, and just they'll assign you a veteran. I went in September of 2019, and my guardian was a 93-year-old World War II veteran who was in Okinawa with the Seabees, Harvey, and we had a delightful time. I was supposed to be taking care of him, but I had trouble keeping up with him.
That's why I'm laughing.
So there are lots of opportunities. The most important thing, if you want to get involved with the Honor Flight local hub, is to reach out to that local organization, go to one of their general meetings when they happen. Our meetings are now being held pretty much by Zoom because of the social distancing, but that's going to change. So when the meetings start happening again, go to one of the meetings, go to one of the fundraising events, help out. It's very rewarding, I'll tell you. Of all the things I've done in the area of charity and giving back, this has been the most rewarding I've ever done.
I can imagine. That's great, man. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And, we're going to get you a copy of our book, Fallen Never Forgotten.
Thank you.
Vietnam Memorials in the USA. And that's supplied by Simplified Home Loans. They give a VA veteran, benefits of a VA home loan all over the world. Just contact them, and we appreciate it very much. Other than that, you have any last word to say?
Well, I just want to say to my Vietnam brothers and all the veterans, welcome home.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, and welcome home.
Thank you.
Well, we got a little question and answers here, Joe.
Okay. Do I answer this? Okay. Basically, again, go to honorflight.org and look up the Connecticut chapter, the closest chapter in Connecticut, and you will be put in touch with, usually they have somebody called the volunteer coordinator. I know we have one here in South Florida. I presume they have one at the Connecticut hub, and reach out to them by email, by phone, and express your interest, and I'm sure they'll get back to you. We can always use the help.
Okay, anything else, man? Another comment? Okay, Marie. So how do you apply if you're eligible as a spouse with a deceased issue? Could a spouse go in lieu of the veteran?
I think that's an individual hub decision. I'm pretty sure in our hub, the actual veteran has to go on the trip. So I would, again, I don't know where Marie is located, but she should check with her local hub. Everybody has a little bit of a different policy, so I can't make a global answer about that. I do know in the South Florida hub, we have to have the actual veteran on the trip.
Okay. Does that veteran have to be? Well, let me see this question. Let me ask you, what about your spouse is deceased and you can't go on the honor flight? I have my ticket, but they raised the price. I don't have a hotel money.
I'm not sure I understand completely the question. You can't go honor for the program in June 2021, but they raised the price on me. I don't know. Again, I don't know what area Marie is from, but I would defer that question to her local hub that she was involved with.
Let me ask you a question. Could Marie have a friend who's a veteran and go with that veteran?
Well, she would have to go as a guardian, and again, generally,
right. That's what I meant. Okay, so
right.
Yeah.
I have a feeling she may have been in line to be a guardian, but I'm not quite sure. I can't quite make out the exact.
Not a
question
problem.
here,
Okay.
But again, I think her hub would be the place to go.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robert, for thanking us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next question or statement or. Okay, 69 and 70, 2 Christmases and 2 birthdays. Thank you so much for your service. I'm glad to be back home, still going. Thank you, God. Thank God so much. Someone was looking out for me. I have a wonderful life. Friends, we know the freedom is what it cost us. You're right there, David. Thank you very much. Nice statement there. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
Any other statements or questions, Matt? Okay, I guess that's it. Well, thank you very much.
We answered everybody's questions. That's great.
That was easy, Joe. Yeah, they probably got the answered the questions answered in the commentary. So
no problem.
Thanks so much. God bless you and welcome home.
Thank you. Same to you.